the title of the presentation today is Boxing Clever and Punching Above Your Weight. Again, sort of aimed at entrepreneurs who have very little money to put towards marketing. It's not about fancy ads or expensive campaigns, it's about boxing clever and punching above your weight. In terms of the questions, questions you need answers to. Do you know who your customers are? Do you know what your customers want? What defines your company? Is your brand delivering your customer expectations? And are you getting return on any marketing investment? So they're all fairly standard questions. I'm going to take you through some of those with examples and case studies. To start off with a little bit of marketing 101, which I'm sure you're all aware of. The three engines of business. So primarily you've got the product side of things, the service side of things, your finances, and then the marketing. Companies can exist in two, but it's ideal if all three are firing on all cylinders. That's when you sort of see companies really exploiting and getting a return. No matter how good your product is, or no matter how solid your financial base is, if you don't have customers, you aren't going anywhere fast. And I have worked for companies that have had the best products in the world, still in R&D, and haven't been able to get them out to market. They haven't understood what their customers are, they haven't understood the customer proposition, and they've come about it the wrong way. So being engineering-led rather than being marketing-led has left them kind of in the doldrums. So here are my customers. Well, to work that out, one of the sort of an interesting approach is to where is my customers' pain? So what is the issue they currently have? Is it quality? Is it service? So there's a number of different areas. Talk about quality. So the quality of the proposition, the quality of the product, the quality of the service, is that really meeting the customer's current expectations? Again, defining who your customer are, assuming that you can't be a Microsoft and appeal to everybody in the world, you're going to be a niche player in the market. So you've got to, again, segment your customer base. So in terms of quality, what's your customer's expectations? Quality, level of service, and price. Those are the three main drivers. There are other ones in terms of delivery, in terms of performance or functionality, in terms of experience and knowledge, and in terms of freedom. And freedom by being, the customer being able to kind of, at the last minute, book an online flight. At the last minute, being able to change or being able to shift money from their current account into their savings account and vice versa. So here's the kind of the box for the entrepreneur here. I can do that better, I can do that cheaper, I can do that differently, I can do that safer, I can do that faster, I can offer something more unique. That's where the entrepreneur is born. He sees an opportunity in the market, no matter how much of a niche it is, but an opportunity to do something differently than the existing market has at the moment, or create something that's brand new that's not been done before. Again, going back to marketing 101, rolling out a product, none of this should be a huge learning lesson for you, but in terms of understanding the bottom of the chain, what the customer pain or desire is, then identifying the opportunity, analysing the competition, and coming up with a differentiated product or solution. Then developing your unique selling propositions, and that might be based on price or quality or service. And then developing CVPs. CVPs are called customer value propositions. So that, if you like, is how you're trying to get your message across to the customer, how you're going to speak to them and get that message across. Then you develop a series of marketing communication materials, be it brochures, websites, channels, ads, direct marketing, and then ultimately the result, a happy customer, a customer that you can retain. So in terms of choosing a market or customer, I've been lucky over my sort of 20 years working in marketing. I've worked for financial services companies, I've worked with professional services companies, worked with KPMG for a number of years. I've also worked with Andor Technology, a digital camera company. I've worked with Valence Technology, a lithium battery company, and I'm now currently working with software. So I've kind of been around the block enough to know that there are certain one-on-ones. You can't be all things to all people. So it's extremely important that you pick your industry, you pick your geography, and you pick the profile of the customer that you're chasing. I've got some good case studies of sort of highlighting that later on in the presentation. But it's important that you own that market. So no matter how niche you go, your goal or your mission is to become the #1 player in that market. And you do that by differentiating your product or your service. So again, another 101, sort of three areas in the triangle to develop your sales moment. Understand your customer needs, understand your own strengths, and understand what the competition is doing. And if you get all elements of that right, you come up with a sales moment, and that's your brand, and that's your sort of customer value proposition. And the three main areas to focus on are quality, service, and price. And no matter what business you look at, that's going to be a differentiator in a leading company in the world today. I've got a couple of examples. The first example I want to talk about is Volvo. People have heard of the Volvo brand, people understand what Volvo stand for, and one of the things I wanted to try and work today was, when you think about Volvo, what are the kind of key things you think about it, the sort of key brand attributes? Anybody want to throw an attribute out? Think of if you own a Volvo, or if somebody in your family has a Volvo, when you see it, what does it first say to you?
Quality.
Quality. Reliability. Anything else?
Safety.
Safety. That's the sort of key one that would strike me. I mean, there's a great example of Volvos in a film a couple of years ago. They're boxy but safe. And I think that's been a very much a niche market that Volvo have chased. And some research has shown in terms of brand values, if you look at a brand cloud, these are all the values and attributes that over months of surveying existing customers and prospects. These are the sort of areas that have come out. The ones that are bigger and in bold are the ones that obviously attract more people's value. So, I mean, safety is obviously coming out, solid, reliable. Another interesting one is boring. Swedish but sour meatballs. Some of this is quirky, but it's also extremely important to the marketeers in Volvo to understand exactly what the brand attributes are, and then to highlight that in terms of their communication messages. So there's some negative things there, but there's a lot of positive things. And if you think about the Volvo 4x4 these days, or the big Volvo estate, the typical is a kind of a middle-class housewife with a car full of kids, and as it says there, smells good, it's snooty, it's snowboard, it's soccer, it's sort of soccer mom. And that's exactly, if you look at the sort of advertising for Volvo, that's exactly the sort of attributes they're sort of chasing. If you look at the sort of circle there, so the city safety standard, that's always been a mainstay of Volvo advertising. They've always focused down on the safety element, because that's exactly what their customer base wants. They want to know if the mom is travelling around in town and she has a crash, that she might kill somebody else, but she's not going to die, and neither are her kids, because she's protected in a well-made Volvo. So next one I want to move on to is Lucozade. I mean, you all know Lucozade, the brand today, but Lucozade started off in a completely different market 30 or 40 years ago. And if you look at some of the kind of old ads, which I really love, Lucozade was a health. It was a drink that were given to people who were sick. Some of you old enough might remember that when you were off school and your mum brought you up a bottle of Lucozade. It was wrapped up in the old orange cellophane, and you got a bunch of grapes and a bottle of Lucozade. So if you look at the kind of areas there, so replaces lost energy, invaluable in sickness. I mean, the one on the top right is very interesting, because there's a mother giving her young kid Lucozade because it helps calm edgy nerves and gently stimulates the appetite. I mean, I've got kids today, and the last drink I would give them would be Lucozade to help calm their nerves, because with all the additives in it, that's the last thing they need to bounce around the room. But again, if you look at the kind of brand attributes here, so invaluable in sickness, appetite, hospitality, relaxing, putting your feet up. In the 80s, Ogilvy and Mather, I mean, Lucozade was on its way out in terms of the product life cycle. It had reached the end of its product life cycle, and they asked Ogilvy and Mather in to look at the brand and look at, could they inject new life into it. And they did some very interesting research. They found a new niche in the market, and it was all to do with youth and sport. And where the Lucozade brand has gone now. Some examples of, in terms of where it was a drink given to elderly people when they were sick, and now it's very much a sports drink, very much gearing towards the kind of youth fashion kind of area side of things. And what's very interesting with Lucozade now is that they've come on with a whole online campaign directly to appeal to the youth culture. I mean, trying to sell Lucozade now to an elderly person through the web just won't work, but it obviously does through social networking, social media, and the web. And you can also see the sort of range of products that they developed along the sport theme. So it's an interesting switch from brand and brand values to sort of a new niche.